Most of you aren't subscribed. Make sure to exorcise the subscribe button, as it helps out the channel. Without further ado, with summer break starting, the gang discuss plans, only for Seika to reveal how he's tasked with investigating a dragon in the kingdom of Astiria. As his father had given Seika an interesting mission, Onmyouji asks if she could accompany him, but Seika rejects her, stating that she should visit her parents every chance she gets. Next, Mabel asks if she could join, but Seika reasons that it would be safest for Mabel to remain on school grounds. Realizing Yifa hasn't said a word, Seika asks if Yifa would like to accompany him, which Yifa blushingly accepts. Suddenly a man and a woman enter the room. Whilst the man makes note of the academy's old structure, he holds himself back from commenting further, as he locks eyes on Seika. Introducing himself as Cecilio, the crown prince of Astiria, Seika immediately graces his honor, apologizing for having the prince come all the way, but Cecilio reassures Seika it was no hassle, and that he wanted to see the school for himself. Spotting Yifa off to the side, Cecilio mistakes Yifa for a noble, having such feminine features, offering her to become one of his wives. But Yifa apologizes, as she can't do anything without her master's permission. Understanding, Cecilio offers to buy Yifa from Seika, but Cecilio's escort reasons it would be best to continue chatting elsewhere. Thanking Seika for taking on the investigation, Cecilio reveals that the dragons in Astiria had always been civil, but recently there has been some unrest, causing them to damage farmland and attack livestock. Wanting to know more about the history of Astiria, Seika learns that legend says that the first dragon was birthed by a human, and that Seika is free to investigate if he pleases. Before parting ways, Cecilio invites both Yifa and Seika to a meal, but his escort Lisa holds him back. Walking through the school, Seika is pulled aside by Mabel and Onmyouji, wanting to be caught up in his conversation with the prince. Reassuring the girls that he won't let the prince have Yifa, unless she herself wants to join the prince's harem, oblivious to how Yifa loves Seika. 2 days later, Seika and Yifa accompany the prince back to his kingdom, but Seika looks ill. But still grateful to the prince, as Seika gets to explore different regions with a reason, prompting Yifa to mention how the prince offered to have her ride with him, but Yifa denied, skeptical that royalty would want a slave riding with them. With several days passing, Seika and Yifa arrive at the capital, as they notice a greater dragon soar past them, inching ever so close. A summoner suddenly conjures a tiger, scarring the dragon, before it's able to do any more damage. But as the dragon flies off, the summon locks eyes with Yifa, pouncing on her, forcing Seika to step in. Restraining the summon, Seika prepares to finish the creature, but the summoner retracts the summon. Revealed to be Zekt, a mercenary Cecilio hired to slay the dragon, Seika asks for Cecilio to reconsider hiring people that could possibly scare the dragon off to other regions. But Zekt butts in, stating that he'll be able to slay the creature, but Saikyou states that he wasn't able to keep the creature under control, warning Zekt that if the creature was ever summoned around Seika, he will put it down himself. Before their argument could escalate further, Cecilio breaks them up, chatting to Seika privately. Wanting to know if the Queen of the Kingdom knows about Cecilio wanting to slay a dragon, a symbol of the country, the prince reveals that no one knows, but it looks like there is no choice. Before Seika can add, he holds back, knowing that he had overstepped, turning to Yifa. Questioning why Yifa didn't defend herself, she reminds Yifa how important it is to stay calm, as someday seeing Yifa being scolded, the prince attempts to pity her, but Seika presses on, knowing that it's normal to freeze up, but a push in the right direction is better than nothing. Apparently in his old life, Seika had witnessed his friend devoured by his dragon summon, which had allowed him to muster up the courage to tame such a powerful creature. Heading to a library, Yifa apologizes for not being able to help read, learning Seika had picked up the Olden language when he was younger. Reading the books, Seika reads that a mysterious human had summoned a male long ago, but there were no signs that the dragon was ever compliant with humans. Next, the male dragon met in Astiria, where it mated with a female dragon, giving birth to some offspring. Since dragons need a way to replenish their magic, they've been feeding on livestock, but apparently not too long after giving birth, the female dragon passed, leaving only the male and its offspring. Noting something suspicious, Seika reasons it would be best to check out these dragons personally, but Yifa wonders if Seika is able to take on a dragon. Agreeing with the danger, Seika states that Yifa will stay behind. That night, Yifa knocks on Seika's room, asking for advice, as the prince wants to see her in his room. Knowing the scummy prince is after Yifa's body, Seika says she can spend the night with him, if she's too scared to return to her room. Accepting the offer, Seika and Yifa lay in the same bed, facing away from each other, as Seika asked Yifa if she would like to stay and join the prince's harem. Shooting down the offer, Seika continues to ask about Yifa's feelings for the prince, which Yifa mistakes for Seika wanting to get rid of her. Apologizing for her shortcomings, Seika says that she should reconsider if she truly wants to be with him, or the prince. The next morning, Seika questions the prince on his reason for making advances on his slave, but the prince reveals that there is something about Yifa that draws him to her, and it's not just her looks. Disgusted, Seika reveals that he will be climbing the mountain to investigate the dragons, which the prince is reluctant to allow. Telling Seika to be safe, Yifa watches as Seika ventures towards the mountain, only to be called by Lisa to have a private chat. Wondering if Yifa is truly content with being Seika's slave her entire life, Lisa reveals that Yifa gives off an aura of her race, the elves, and that Yifa is a descendant of the elves herself. Thanks for watching. Subscribe, like and